What's good, YouTube? If you tapped in, you already know who I am. If not, my name is Caleb Jarrell. One thing that can be a disservice to your life, or a service if you learn how to do it, is maintaining your emotions. Learning how to regulate your emotions. Really sitting with yourself and understanding that you have a choice to respond due to the things that you go through, due to the circumstances that you go through, right? There's so many times and so many instances where I see people in life and they lose their whole life, or they lose something that was worth keeping just off the fact that they were in a moment where they made a split decision and lacked maintaining their emotions, or lacked being able to control their emotion, right? Whether it be that they got locked up, or whether it be that they even faced it. We all have to learn how to regulate. We all have to learn how to maintain these emotions that we feel. Whether it's from just naturally the things that we have, or reactions of how other people treat us, or reactions how we feel off of what somebody else has done to us. One way that I know that somebody is a strong person is when you don't let your character be broke or be broken by somebody else's wrongdoing. And it takes a strong person to be like that. It takes a strong-minded person. It takes a person that is really in tune with themselves to not allow that to happen. There's going to be people in life that treat you wrong. There's going to be people in life that may not have best interests for you. And even our loved ones, the people that do love us, sometimes they do us wrong. Sometimes they treat us wrong. Sometimes they don't make the best decision. But the way that you stay true to yourself is by understanding that no matter what happens in life, you never lose who you are. You never lose sight of the true you, the authentic you. And you never step out of your character. See, the thing about life is there's some people that unintentionally, do you wrong. And those are the people that, it's easier to forgive sometimes. It's easier to look past things. But over the course of time, you start to recognize that there's some people in your life that intentionally continue to make the same decisions. And you'll recognize that decisions that they're making are a detriment to my life. So it's not only that I have to regulate my emotions, it's now at a point where I have to make a decision. Okay, if this person isn't healthy for my life, and the places that I see myself going, or the person that I see myself being, sometimes you have to remove yourself from that person. Sometimes you have to remove yourself from that environment. If we continue to let people play with our emotions and, provoke us to react a certain way, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. And really show your strength when you can stand strong in who your character is, and stand strong in who you believe that you are. When someone else does you wrong and you still treat them with kindness. You may treat them with kindness, but that doesn't mean that you have to continue to be in their vicinity. It doesn't mean that you have to be buddy-buddy with them. But also it doesn't bring out that negative character, or that negative side of your character. That's how you know you're getting better. That's how you know you're becoming a better person. The thing is, you have to get to a point to where you tell yourself, I won't let what somebody else did to me make me respond and react a certain way that's outside of who I necessarily want to be. Sometimes you have to be that bigger person. Sometimes because you got more to lose. Sometimes because that person isn't mature to a point to where they're even in a part or in a path of thinking like that. And as men, we definitely aren't really given the space to learn how to regulate our emotions, or learn how to assess our emotions. You have to really sit with yourself when something happens, you feel me, where there's altercation or, a disagreement, you have to take time to yourself when you feel those feelings of anger, when you feel those feelings of being unheard, feel those feelings of disrespect. You feel it in here, and sometimes you feel it in your gut. But the thing is, since those feelings, they aren't there all the time, most of the time, our initial reaction is anger. Our initial reaction is to act out, to be disruptive, to be disrespectful. But what you have to do is, you have to turn that back inward. You have to turn that back inward and ask yourself, okay, what happened to me that makes me feel like this? Whether it was something in the past or whether it was something present. One thing I think we all deal with is sometimes we have triggers that throw us back from things that happened to us in the past, things that happened to us when we were younger. You might have been talked about when you were a kid. You might have been disrespected when you were a kid. You might have been overlooked when you were a kid. You might have been bullied when you were a kid. You might have been taken advantage of when you were a kid. So as you get older, these things, they don't disassociate with you. You continue to hold on to these things. And sometimes it's subconsciously, you don't understand, like, these are things that as a kid, I still hold on to now. So as you go through life, you start to recognize you go through certain situations, or you go through certain disagreements, or, just coming across certain people that trigger these things in you. And the problem is sometimes we never grow. We never grow from healing. We never grow from really dealing with what the root of the issue is. And that issue is, most of the times, we didn't take the time out to learn how to regulate our emotions. We didn't take the time out to really speak on our emotions, or even be in an environment where it was okay to speak about how we were feeling. But you have to do that for yourself. You have to learn how to sit with yourself and ask yourself, okay, boom, this happened to me. How did this make me feel? And why do I feel like this? And then if you responded in a way, or you have a track record of responding a certain way, now you have to go back to the root of the problem and understand, okay, I'm not going to continue to let certain things that other people do or certain things that other people did cause me to respond and react a certain way. One thing for me that I recognize a lot of us deal with is we continue to shut down after things happen to us. And I think that stems from really being overlooked or really being unheard, not feeling like a priority, or not feeling like what we voiced or how we felt mattered. But how you feel matters. The things you go through matters. And I understand not everybody around you, makes you a priority. I understand that not everybody around you allows you to have that open space to where you can really speak on how you feel. As a man, we bottle things up. We go through life and we just allow life to happen. We don't really speak on the things that we go through. We don't really speak on how we feel. We don't really speak on the things that run through our mind all day. So it's like we put on this mask, and we tend to have this mask of perfection. We tend to have this mask of everything is fine, everything is okay. But on the inside, a lot of things are broken. On the inside, a lot of things are undealt with. But you can't continue to go through life like that. And sometimes you have to set the tone of how to do new things. It's uncomfortable really learning how to deal with your emotions. It's uncomfortable having the hard conversations with other people. It's uncomfortable speaking up for yourself sometimes. It's uncomfortable calling the elephant out in the room. But what we do as people, we start to sweep things under the rug. We start to neglect these conversations. These conversations of what went on in the family. We neglect these conversations of, how people treated us or how people took advantage of us and different things. instead of addressing it. Why? Because we want to keep the light on the family. We want to keep this certain image of how things are in the family, when really that's a false image. When really it's a false image of how the dynamic is and how we deal with each other. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So yet we put our feelings to the side and put everybody else's feelings above our feelings. So all we're doing is burying how we feel deeper and deeper. And we're digging this deep hole that just gets neglected overall. And we wonder why we have days of depression. We wonder why we have days where we're not talking. We're not talking about things. We're not talking to other people. We wonder why we're having days where we're just having mental bad days. And it's those things that we continue to bury that makes a difference. The more you speak about things, the more you're open with things, the more you're able to be in an environment where you can speak on, this is what happened in my life, or this is what's going on, or even in a altercation, a conflict, this is where you went wrong, or this is where I feel you disrespected me. And everybody isn't to a point to where they can throw that back at each other, you feel me? Some people can't have those conversations. So sometimes you have to recognize who's worth dealing with and who's not worth it. You can't continue to neglect these emotions and expect a different outcome in how we feel on the inside. You have to deal with these emotions. Speak on these emotions. Find somebody that you can talk to, whether it's yourself, whether it's, just learning how to heal yourself. Get right with God, you feel me? Work on your relationship with God. And start to work on bettering yourself. I know we all about money, all about raising a family, all about, dealing with women, however you want to go, whatever decision you want to make with that. But what good is it to profit the things of the world when the sacrifices our soul, when the sacrifices our mental health? So everything that we've accumulated on the outside and, worked so hard for on the outside, but on the inside we're still stuck in the same place. We're still stuck in the same mental space. We're still stuck dealing with relationships and dealing with people the same way we started. So in the midst of you continue to want to accumulate these things, externally or on the exterior, and want to, be in shape and different things like that, make sure you're working on the inside too. Make sure you're developing your mental space. Make sure you're reading your books. Make sure you're trying to focus on healing and becoming a better person. What's in the heart comes out the mouth. So you have to ask yourself, what does that heart do? And the more that you go down this path, the better you start to work on yourself. The more you start to pour into yourself, the more you start to recognize things that you won't even like about yourself. And this is how you change on the inside. Self-improving isn't just about the things that we do or the things that we accumulate. Self-improving is also improving your character, improving who you are as a man, improving the type of man that you want to be, improving the father that you want to be, improving the brother you want to be. And the more that you work on you, the better you can try to do for other people or be for other people.